Whenever a swimmer goes to a swim meet, time is pretty much all-encompassing. Did you improve your time? What was your time? This time, that time. You know, after hours and hours and hours and hours of practice, it all comes down to a brief little window of time. 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 30 seconds, maybe 21 seconds to show all their hard work between now and the last, or between that swim meet and the previous swim meet. Was it worth it? Did they work hard enough? Did they focus enough? It all comes down. And success can be, the difference between success and failure can be 1/10 of a second. Well, I think if we focus just on time, that's kind of crazy. This watch, this machine hanging from a wall, it's very, very objective. It doesn't take into account all the different variables that can have an effect on if a race is successful or not. So I say, let's not just focus on the watch. There's got to be some other way that we can judge a swim meet as a success, or a swim race as a success. I suggest F.E.A.T.S. F.E.A.T.S are things that are what an athlete can control. There are many variables an athlete can control. There are many, many variables that go into a successful race or not. But these are some things that we've identified that a swimmer can control that will help them have a good race. Independent of the time, a swimmer focuses on these things, we feel it should be a successful race, or viewed as a successful race. Focus. The athlete focused before their race. Were they behind the blocks, ready to go, thinking about how they wanted to swim the race and what they could do to improve since last time? Or were the swimmers running around, throwing popcorn at each other, or in the showers? We've had both. Okay, focus. And let's judge them by that. Effort. Did they try real hard in the race? If they get out and they're kind of purple or red because they tried so hard, or did they just dive in and kind of give more of a performance art? Right? What was their effort? Here's a big one: attitude. Did they go in the race thinking they're going to do the best they could? Or they go in the race defeated? They go in the race, I don't want to race. I don't want to race that person. Hey, I'm going to go. I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay, what was their attitude? Technique. Did they think about the things that they were asked to think about in practice? Sometimes in a race, a swimmer will try to do their new technique, implement their new technique, and it may make them a little slower, right? If a swimmer is asked to streamline past the flags after every flip turn, and they do it, well, they should be praised. It's new to them in a race, so their time might be a little bit off. But eventually, that will be a skill they really need to do, and it will help them go faster. So if they're trying their new technique, even if this clock over here says, hey, you added a little bit, they should be praised for doing their new technique. It's hard to do. Strategy. Do they work on the way they wanted to swim the race? Did they go out strong and finish fast? Did they work their backstroke and breaststroke really good? Did they split well in the middle of their race? All sorts. They add their kick when they were supposed to add their kick. All these things can go into a strategy of a race. Or the opposite would be, did they just kind of go out there and swim? Okay, so these things a swimmer can control: their focus, effort, attitude, technique, and strategy. Now there's many things they can't control, and that will show up on this clock. The clock is, heartless. Things like weather, if it's an outdoor meet, can affect that clock. Health, was the athlete under the weather previous weeks or so? Emotional frustrations. They have a problem at school, boyfriend, girlfriend. Family dynamics could be another issue. Did they have to have a sibling go to a soccer game and they got there a little bit late? There's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong with that. But it should be taken into account when it comes to this clock. Maybe the coach made a mistake. I've done it many times. Sent the kiddo to the wrong heat, the wrong lane, and threw them off, and they kind of messed up their preparation for their race. Sometimes the meet has a problem. Sometimes the timing equipment fails, or there's an official makes a mistake, and that can affect the clock. Okay? All those things are out of the swimmer's control. These, focus, effort, attitude, technique, and strategy, are within the swimmer's control. This is a fair way to judge them. And to be frank, eventually these things add up to a much faster clock. If you're wondering what to say to your kiddo after a race, just tell them you love to watch them swim. Give them a hug. Tell them they tried real hard. Ask them what they thought about it. Maybe ask them what the coach said they thought about it. Mostly, though, just let them know you love to watch them swim.